Right, let's dive straight in. Welcome to this explainer. Today we're tackling a really timely topic, getting your Microsoft 365 environment ready for AI tools like Copilot. If you're leading a small charity, a CIC, a care provider, or a growing SME, you've probably been wondering exactly how AI fits into your day-to-day operations. Well, our goal today is to cut right through the hype. We're going to focus on the practical, sensible foundations you actually need to adopt these tools safely and effectively. So, it brings us to a really simple question, but one that honestly gets overlooked in the rush to adopt new tech. Is your Microsoft 365 environment actually ready for AI? And, if you're feeling a bit unsure about that, it's completely normal. For the vast majority of organizations, their Microsoft 365 setup, we're talking the Teams channels, the SharePoint sites, those massive OneDrive folders. It's all just grown organically over the years. Staff come and go, folders get duplicated, and things naturally get a little messy. That's just the reality of everyday work. There's absolutely no blame in that. But when we start talking about dropping AI into that environment, that organic mess suddenly becomes a really crucial factor. Section 1. The hidden amplifier. Why data foundations matter. You see, the thing to remember is that AI isn't magic. It's essentially just a highly capable engine, and it relies entirely on the internal data it's actually allowed to access. On the one hand, you have the promise of AI, useful automation, drafting internal notes, quickly summarizing vast amounts of information. It sounds fantastic, doesn't it? Incredibly efficient. But then we have to look at the ungoverned reality. If you just turn AI on in an environment where files are messy, where permissions are way too broad, or sensitive information isn't strictly controlled, well, AI doesn't fix those problems. Instead, it can actually expose those existing confidentiality and governance risks much, much faster. If the permissions allow it, it will happily dig up an old HR document or a confidential client file. So, this brings us to an absolutely crucial point. How do we actually define AI readiness? Well, readiness definitely isn't just about buying a few licenses and flicking a switch. True readiness is about data structure, it's about access control, giving your team clear staff guidance, having a mature awareness of the risks, and defining safe, clear use cases before you even begin. Basically, you've got to get those foundations rock solid before you introduce AI into your everyday workflow. Section 2. The sensible foundation. Assessing your setup with Adjona. This is where Adjona Technology comes in. They act as a calm, highly practical partner to help organizations assess those Microsoft 365 foundations before adopting things like ChatGPT-style tools or workflow automation. They specialize in working with charities, care providers, and SMEs to make sure your technology governance is actually fit for purpose. When they help you prepare, they focus heavily on reviewing the absolute basics. That means looking at Microsoft 365 access control, mapping out your SharePoint and OneDrive structure, and hunting down oversharing risks. They also look really closely at how sensitive information is handled, and they'll spot any gaps in your staff guidance. It's not about adding unnecessary technical complexity, and it's definitely not an exercise in pointing fingers. It's simply about sensible data hygiene and safe permissions, so your AI journey starts from a much safer baseline. Section 3. Tangible evidence, practical outputs, and controls. Because let's be honest, just knowing you have risks is really only half the battle. Tangible evidence and practical outputs are what actually help you move forward. This is a very practical business exercise, not some abstract consulting project. When you work with Adjona, the outputs are concrete. You'll get a full AI readiness review and a priority risk list, all written in plain English. Even better, you get a practical action plan that shows you exactly what needs fixing first, what can wait, and exactly why. They also help you put together acceptable use guidance for your staff, and they'll help you pinpoint safe, low-risk use case ideas to start off with. Things like improving administrative templates or summarizing non-sensitive data. Ultimately, these outputs give leaders the control they need to manage risks and improve their workflows safely. To wrap things up today, if you're looking at AI but you aren't 100% sure your data is ready for it, remember that taking a step back to secure your foundations is literally the smartest move you can make. Adjona Technology helps small charities, CICs, care providers, and growing businesses make Microsoft 365 safer, clearer, and much easier to govern. Just visit adjona.com to start a practical conversation today. So before you introduce these incredibly powerful new tools into your daily operations, I'll leave you with this question. Is your organization's data structure truly ready to be amplified? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer.